Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CREW-1 space launch. Who's excited for the launch party? So this evening, we're going to be talking about the 4 astronauts that are about to lift off from Kennedy Space Center. 3 of the 4 have been in space before and have plenty of hours. We'll go over the names and the bios, etc. And then one's a newcomer to the mission. We're just adjusting some mic equipment here real quick. But yeah, so this is going to be a real an exciting one for us. We thought we were going to do back-to-back launches today, and luckily we're not because we're both kind of exhausted, to be honest with you. So, but the Rocket Labs launch got pushed back to, I believe, Wednesday night Eastern Standard Time, Thursday in New Zealand when it takes off. And that'll be launching some more spacecraft that we're very interested in, some ocean monitoring equipment, etc. But for this launch, and we're going to focus on this, this is for the astronauts. This is going to be the 4th launch of astronauts this year. And I think we have a total of 83 orbital launches that we've done this year. So over the years, this is just great how many launches that we're getting, because if you look back even 10 years ago, heck, 5 years ago, but you look back 10 years ago, these numbers are just increasing tremendously. And so I'm still working with the green screen here, but it's going to be an exciting launch with the folks that are on board and their expertise and where they're from and where they're going. We've got one colonel from the U.S. Air Force, a Navy commander, and a gentleman from JAXA, which is the Japanese Space Agency. And like I said, I'll go over some of those here in a minute. If you have any questions, by the way, go ahead and you can tweet them at Project Geospatial, or you can tweet them at my account, Mason Rothman, or at Adam's account as well, Adam of Soul. So any of them you want to tweet out or ask any questions, keep it clean, please. Just go ahead and reach out to us. So there is the live stream going right now, and that's what you're seeing on the screen here. And this has been going all day, actually. I've been watching this in anticipation of it. And I know for some folks that might be just kind of boring to watch this SpaceX the launch vehicle on the pad. But to be honest with you, this is really exciting for me. Just because I remember all the astronaut launches and all the space shuttle launches, etc., over the years. And so this is just some more icing on the cake. And like I said, folks, this is the 4th one this year. We're just getting in almost a routine of doing this, and practice makes perfect in everything that we do in life. And this is one of them right here. So, yeah.
We should probably introduce ourselves, because we didn't get around to that, right?
Well, yeah, that's true, actually. I just gave out our Twitter handles and everything else. But
so for those of you who don't know us, I'm Adam Simmons.
And I'm Mason Rothman.
And this is Project Geospatial. Usually we cover geospatial technology, best practices, and educational resources. But we decided to broaden our horizons across multiple technology sectors and just whatever generally piques our interest with. There's some huge overlap there, right?
Without a doubt, the space and the geospatial community go literally hand in hand. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting one for us. And our first launch that we covered was last week with the Indian space launch, the ISRO launch that carried up the Cleos birds, etc. If you want to pop on over to our YouTube channel or on our site, you can link from there as well, and you can check out that footage as well of us announcing that launch. So. This is a totally different one, though, because this isn't about launching satellites. This is about taking human beings further into space. And it's just becoming more of a routine thing where probably, and this is something that's going to be coming up in, 2030, 2040, et cetera, where folks are going to be paying, they're estimating, maybe a few $100,000 to take yourself into space, whether it's on one of Richard Branson's launches, et cetera. Let's see, is now targeting Sunday, November 15th, 7/27 for launch. Yeah.
So that's obviously tonight, and hopefully we'll see the launch here in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, in about 20 minutes is what we're looking at here. So, what else should we talk about this evening, Adam? What sounds good for the old party?
Well, let's talk about the space platform itself. So they're riding on top of a Falcon 9 rocket, right? And what's impressive is, this. I don't know. It was a couple. Man, I lost track of time. Was it a month or two ago that when they actually launched astronauts up to the space station on the commercial space rocket for the first time.
Right, exactly, and so this is great news for Elon and crew over at SpaceX. Big supporter of what they're doing, including with the Starlink stuff, etc. So this is great that the government's actually working with SpaceX as well as some NRO launches, etc. So this is great. It's not just NASA. The government overall is getting on board, quite literally.
Now, what's interesting about the Falcon 9 rocket is, if you haven't already realized this or watched the launch, these things can come back to Earth and land itself.
Yeah, that's
it's automated.
Another amazing thing.
You can kind of see the landing struts here on this rocket itself. It's really kind of cool to. I think earlier in the day when we put up the feed, it was live, and they actually had them. I think they had them down or decline, or they're always down. I don't know. I haven't actually seen the pre-launch of the rocket. If they're always down or if they actually deploy afterwards.
Another really interesting takeaway from last week's launch party was the ISRO launch. I noticed that the number one complaint that folks had was the camera quality whenever they did the separation phases, etc. And they said, why can't you do it like SpaceX does with a high quality resolution camera? Because at the end of the day, that's what folks want to see.
Commercial compared to government funding?
Yeah, right. So, but that's one of the main takeaways is for ISRO, hopefully, is to maybe better develop their camera systems to get some more eyes on.
So Falcon 9 rocket, 96 launches for the Falcon 9 launches, and 57 total landings with 41 reflown rockets. So
talk about reusing a vehicle and getting the most bang for your buck out of it. Yeah.
No, and that's a big deal. Rockets are expensive to launch. The fact that you can bring them back down and reuse the same vehicle without them just burning up and remaking it every single time, it's a big deal.
And that we're not just treating them as disposable things. It's one and done, it's gone type thing. We're actually reinvesting back into it. It's great. So
they already have some estimated weight for how much these things can carry for multiple payloads for LEO and GTO, payload to GTO.
Yeah.
What does GTO stand for? I can't remember.
And the payload to Mars as well.
Payload to, or is that orbit and low Earth orbit? Right
yeah,
now?
LEO's the low Earth orbit. Sorry. And it can carry 50,265 pounds.
To LEO, by the way. To Mars, they're saying it can carry up to 8,800 or 8,860 pounds to Mars. So obviously they're sacrificing a lot of weight for fuel there.
That's impressive. I hadn't seen those stats before on the poundage it was carrying, or maybe I hadn't. It just didn't make an impact on me or sunk in. That's great, actually. That's a lot of weight. But I know that was one of the concerns with NRO launching some of their birds, or the government launching some of their satellites as well, was the amount of weight that the SpaceX vehicles can carry. So so like I said, the astronauts going up are going to be the NASA astronauts Victor Glover, Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and then from the Japanese side we have Soichi Nagaguchi. I was trying to read his name and Adam's thumb was in the way. Soichi Noguchi.
Oh, that's how I thought you had a hard time pronouncing it.
Yeah, no. So Soichi Noguchi, and so the one that's it's going to be his first flight is actually Victor Glover from the Navy side. So he's the first. Otherwise, the rest of them have quite a bit of time in space here, and so. And I can read over those real quick, too, actually.
So launching at the Kennedy Space Center, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's where my mother used to work, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that. How do you have a connection there to NASA, right?
Yeah, so Mom worked for NASA for almost all my life, even growing up in Germany. She was working overseas, working on some Hubble Space Telescope projects for him when we lived over there. So NASA's kind of, in my blood, so to speak, and I know Orlando inside and out because of that reason, right? Because Kennedy Space Center and Cocoa Beach, etc., is not too far away from Orlando.
Now, have you actually seen a launch in person?
No, I haven't. Not in person. No. I've seen the Berlin Wall come down. I've seen all kinds of things in person, but I have not seen a launch in person. Good call, actually.
I have not seen a launch in person myself. The closest thing, I guess, I wouldn't even call it the closest thing because there's nothing like apparently seeing a launch in person, but seeing seeing them take the Enterprise space shuttle from the Udvar-Hazy Center here and watching that fly out to go head towards New York.
Speaking of Udvar-Hazy,
and it was the shuttle was on top of a, was it 747 or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing the pictures of it. But that's. But if you're in the DC area, or if you fly into Dulles and you get on a long layover, please go visit that space museum. The Udvar-Hazy Museum is mind blowing. We've been there multiple times.
And they have
with our family and friends.
And they replaced the Enterprise because the Enterprise was there for a few years. They replaced the Enterprise with I can't believe I can't remember this top of my head. I want to say no, I'm not gonna say that.
You distracted me with Enterprise right off the bat because we've been talking Star Trek stuff lately. But it's
how do I not know the name of the show? I've been there 1,000 times. But
another interesting thing. So we mentioned, this is launching out of Kennedy Space Center, and then it's close to Orlando. Well, for our geospatial friends, guess where GeoInt 2020 by USGIF is going to be hosted next year?
Discovery is the shuttle that's in before Hazy. I was about to say a shuttle that unfortunately had probably a bad demise.
Yeah. So next year, like I said, the USGIF will be hosting the GeoInt conference there, so we'll be talking about that one and going to that like we do every year. But back to what you were saying about seeing one live, we need to book a trip to go. We need to get down there and see a launch live at some point.
I'm looking at the Kennedy Space Center. They actually have some launch ticket information here, and it's hard to get in right now.
There's always fields and backup places where I see a lot, especially on Twitter. I see a lot of I shouldn't call them amateur photographers, but because there's the area for the professional photographers where they're taking their things, and then there's the average Joe area where we would go as well.
There's some parking lots where you can approximately 7.5 miles away from the launch site.
Well, heck, I don't know. Would we be considered at this point? We've been doing video podcasts for 10 years now. Would we be considered journalists enough to make it into the NASA shooting area?
Even if I can see the launch as close as 10 or 20 miles, I'd be okay with it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And it's not that far away, to be honest with you. You just got to watch out for the gators.
It costs $75 plus tax for a ticket to do the.
So it's $75.
The main visitor complex launch viewing package.
Worth it.
Sold out.
Yeah.
I wonder how far ahead of time you have to book one of those.
That would be a great question for folks that are watching, etc. Is like, how far out do you have to be, or is this one of those things like it sells out like the iPhones, etc. So
well, everyone, I'm going to step away for a minute while Mason has this.
Yeah, so he just handed me over the iPad here. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to read a little bit more about the astronauts so we can get into not just us talking about ourselves here and other things. So Mike Hopkins was the first astronaut up that I'm going to talk about. He's also a colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and his first mission was on Expedition 37 and 38. In 2013 and 14. He spent a total of 166 days in space and accumulated 12 hours and 58 minutes of spacewalking, not to be confused with moonwalking, right? So 12 hours and 58 minutes of spacewalking. And so going into the next one, Victor Glover, like I mentioned, it's his first mission, actually. But he's a commander in the U.S. Navy, and he was selected as an astronaut in 2013. So he's a well-trained pilot with more than 3,000 flight hours in 40 different aircraft. He has landed on carrier ships 400 times. Wow, eat your heart out, Tom Cruise. He's landed on carrier ships 400 times and participated in 24 combat missions. So yeah, hats off to you, Mr. Glover, and good luck on your first, and congratulations on your first space flight. How excited is that guy? And then Soichi Noguchi, this from JAXA, from the Japanese Space Agency. This isn't his first flight either. So he's got a total of what's his total here? He spent an additional 163 days in space. Let's see, in Expedition 22 to 23 in 2009. So he's been up once before as well. And then last but certainly not least is Shannon Walker. And Shannon's been up before too. So she's a PhD and worked for NASA's spaceflight program for nearly 20 years before being selected as an astronaut in 2004. So 16 years ago. And her first job out of college was working at NASA's Johnson Space Center, actually. So she's been doing working for NASA like Mom did for years and years and years. like I said, she's been in space before, and that was on Expedition 24 and 25, and she's got 163 days in space. So, I mean, think about this, folks. That's a lot of time to spend in space and of course, it's on the International Space Station. That's how you do it. But that's just still a tremendous thing to do, and it's great that they're giving some new folks that are launch a tip in less than 10 minutes. I just got the notification on my phone here. But it's great that they're kind of mixing things up, and they're bringing a new person on. They're bringing one from the Japanese Space Agency, and then 2 astronauts that have flown before and going up. This is great, actually. This is a great combination.
And by the way, for some quick trivia, for those wondering, what was the astronaut, or who holds the longest single space flight by any person?
Wow, and I remember reading about him before, reading about her before, but it's Valerie Polakov, who spent more than 437 days. Wow, that is just yeah. But,
and more recently, it was we have not quite as long. Did Scott Kelly break this record?
No, Scott Kelly's got 340 days.
Okay,
yeah.
But
so
he was an American. Of course, that's just shy of 365. So does he get a year per diem up there for that? How does that work?
Yeah, you've got me.
For pay.
You've got me. So yeah, this is interesting factoids. I did not know that. So yeah, he spent the most time in space with 400 and what was it again?
437.
Wow, that is nuts.
And the woman who has spent the most time in space is Christina. Coach.
I'm not familiar with her, to be honest with you. But 328 days in space. Wow, that's impressive, actually. But this is going to be, and we're saying this is impressive now, but it's just becoming more and more commonplace. I remember growing up on the Challenger incidents and whatnot, and and some horrible things like that, when we were still just kind of experimenting with it. And I'm fairly young still compared to some folks of our parents' age who they're watching this, and they were watching Apollo missions, etc. So this is phenomenal how just commonplace we're going now. It's not. I'm not downplaying it at all, because there is a tremendous amount of effort and time, money, etc. that goes into this. So yeah, but it's great that we've evolved to this point where we're making this more of a routine thing, so we can reach out and push the human race forward into the galaxy, actually, and explore and see what else is out there.
We're just looking up some quick stats. We are coming up on the 7:20 right now, so hopefully, unless we look at some updates, we'll launch soon within the next 7 minutes. But I was actually looking at how astronauts are rated. What's their pay grade, right? Some astronauts are military members.
Like we mentioned, the Air Force.
They're actually
and the
military
Navy.
ranks. So believe it or not, they don't a lot of. I don't know how the common belief is for stereotypes, but astronauts do not get paid a lot.
It'd be interesting too, because we're both prior service as well. We're both prior Air Force, and so it'd be interesting to see.
But the general pay scale for astronauts is between a GS-12 and a GS-13. Yeah. Well, so you can talk a little bit more about that a little bit.
Well, folks, once upon a time, was it about 10 years ago? I was a GS-15, and so I was getting paid a lot more, or a decent amount more than the astronauts. I feel even worse now, even though it was government pay, and there's folks making a contractor around me making a tremendous amount more, but
they had cooler jobs.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I would take that GS-12, GS-13. I'd take GS-0 pay. I would pay them to go fly up to the International Space Station at the end of the day, and most folks would, to be honest with you. So it's not about the pay, obviously, but that is kind of interesting that they do that. I'm wondering what kind of incentive pays, etc. Do they?
Hey, that's called prestige right there. That's lifetime achievement.
Would that be considered an OCONUS assignment, or what is that considered? Exactly.
I like to know what the hazard pay is on that.
Yeah, do you get? Oh, they have to be getting hazard pay. Another thing I was wondering from the military perspective, though, we mentioned, and I've seen it plenty of times. Of course, the Air Force it has astronauts go up all the time, and as well as the Navy. I've seen it several times before. But what about the Marine Corps and the Army? I don't know if I've ever seen anything. I've seen any astronauts from that side of the fence before, so that'd be some interesting trivia to look up as well.
I think there was a Marine.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
I think the Marines have had.
Well, the Marines technically fall under the Navy still, right? So, yeah. Well, look at that. We've got 5 of them. we've got 5 Marines. And this is interesting too, because both of our fathers growing up were Marines as well. So I'm glad they're not over here to set us straight on this one. But yeah, there were 5 total: Kenneth Cameron, Andrew Allen, Story Musgrave, oh yeah, Christopher Loria, and Richard Richards. Wow, Richard Richards. So there's 5 of them total. Did you look up Army, U.S. Army astronauts?
Oh,
That's the only branch we're missing. Well, Coast Guard, I suppose.
Does that count?
Not really.
Sorry, that was
We're making a coasty joke.
Yeah, that was a Space Force TV show joke right there.
Yeah,
they watched Netflix.
Sure. Speaking of that, that's going to be an interesting. While you look up the Army thing, that's going to be interesting to see.
Tons.
Oh lordy! Oh yes, tons and tons of Army as well. That's how many total is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 18 total. Wow, 18 U.S. Army astronauts
so
as well.
So it looks like we're getting hot here on the
let me
rocket.
bring up my counter here. Actually,
do they have a counter? I don't know what feed I'm using to get a counter.
Let's see. 3 minutes and 50 seconds here.
We're coming close. We'll keep talking.
Yeah, we're getting close, folks. If you can say, I don't know if you can.
Now
say that.
we won't watch the whole thing because they won't reach the space station for a while. But we will at least get to orbit before we stop our little launch party.
That's right. So, don't tell them about that.
Do they tell you when they're estimated to get to?
No, I just see that we got the 3 minutes and some change. So, whew, a lot of people are up there just scared, actually, at the end of the day. Like, are we going to launch? Are we going to launch? Is everything good? Because this is like the time when they could pull it, actually. This is in the last couple of minutes.
Oh, could do it in the last
And
few
to be
seconds.
honest with you, out the windows here, I remember, did you get the warning on your phone or any of that says it's past the time now, it's till 17 after, don't go outside, etc. And shit was flying around outside. It was crazy, man. So, but like I said, they're launching way down south and we're up here in the DC area, so. But yeah, the weather, I'm glad they got good weather down there and they're able to launch and whatnot. And I wonder if there's been some other launches recently. Have there been some other ones that we've been looking at?
Once again, the big one that we last looked at was the Indian launch for CLEOS last week.
Right.
And keep in mind, we do watch launches a lot, and I think when it pertains more to our industry, geospatial, we're launching new imagery satellites or RF satellites, collectors out there.
Right.
I think we tend to zone in a little bit more and pay more attention.
We get in depth on it because that's where our comfortable and our knowledge and interest zones are at. To be honest,
now you had some stats on how many launches happened this year, didn't you?
I said it at the beginning, but I think it was 83 is what we've got for successful, and then 3 additional on that. We've got 3. We're about to have 4 shuttle launches or launches to the space station. So this is going to be 4 in 1 year. I mean, that's nuts, right?
Yeah. Might as well turn that thing into a hotel.
They kind of have, yeah. It's just got some. I don't know if they ever fixed the oxygen leak on it. I know there were some rumors they did, and then it was coming back, and
we could bring that up while we're riding.
Yeah.
But keep a track of the
timer
timer over there.
1 minute and 37 seconds, baby. It'll be neat to see all the observations afterwards too, because I follow all the on the unclassified side all the folks that monitor launched vehicles, etc., into space, and it's great whenever they see parts of it. It'll also be great to see the rocket come back down as well and where it's going to land, because SpaceX is going to have some great footage.
They identified the where the leak was coming in on the ISS for the oxygen leak, and they ended up using tea bags, plugged using tea bags and sticky tape.
Huh. I would have never thought that. The simple things. Duct tape, man. What can you not fix with duct tape, honestly? It's one of the greatest inventions ever. Who doesn't have duct tape in their house, honestly? Do you guys have duct tape around here?
I'm sure we do somewhere.
Yeah, you got to. Less than 1 minute.
Here we go. Look at that. Look at all that steam, gas, whatever it is coming out of that thing.
We should be good. 30 seconds.
I feel like I need to put a timer on the feed here.
I know.
I'll get better about that as we do more of these.
I'm just like crossing it, because one of the first launches I ever watched when I was a kid was that Challenger launch in school, actually, and wow, that was an impact after watching that sucker blow up.
So we had 10 seconds here.
9, 8, 7.
Is it delayed
6,
or is it going to go?
5.
Oh, here we go.
4, 3, 2, 1. And do we have action?
We're a little delayed, but stuff is happening.
They're just a few behind. I haven't been on Twitter to see if there was a scheduled delay or anything either. Let me hop on there just in case.
No, hold on. There's more stuff going on. It could have.
T-minus 3 minutes. Well, yeah, Dr. Tanya Harrison was calling it out too.
There we go.
Yeah, baby! Launch!
There we go. So we might be a little delayed on our feed.
Go, baby, go. Yeah!
So Dr. Tanya Harrison, by the way, we mention her sometimes. She's on our show. We had her on a couple times over the last year or so. Tanya of Mars, at Tanya of Mars. She's a huge space person in general.
And space and geospatial, like you were saying at the beginning, just go hand in hand. They really do. And so it's great that we get to work.
She took
with
the
these
path
folks.
I wish I pivoted down at some point in
Right.
my life, and I took a different one. And she got to be involved with all the stuff that I really wish I was.
Well, you
as
got
a
to play
kid.
a little bit whenever you came over to work at the NRO.
Oh no! I look at that. I'm like, oh man.
You got to work at
if I was
Spacecraft with
if I
me.
was 10 years old, I'd be like, oh man, she's the coolest person in the world.
She is pretty cool, actually.
And for me, I was like, oh man, what am I doing? I'm looking at imagery. I'm looking at the Earth down.
Oh, you poor guy, you.
I'm not looking up.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old self would totally beat me.
That's right. That's right. Well, you see, most of the folks that are involved in the NASA programs are just hard charging, go-getting people and leading the example for the future.
But that's a successful launch. We'll keep it on topic here. I
Without a
can't believe
doubt.
they're not showing the rocket on this feed. I guess I'll have to switch.
Yeah. And just search on Google as well. I mean, search on Twitter as well if you're watching this, and you're going to see tons more footage, coverage, amateur shots, like we said, from all those folks that are as well as the professional stuff. And then folks all up and down the coast and wherever the flight trajectory is. Like the launch that happened the other evening that was launched from Kennedy Space Center, the NRO launch. That thing was seen all the way in Maryland. That's how far up it went. That's crazy. By average observers on the ground, no binoculars, etc. needed. So that's phenomenal that whenever you can go out and see one of our spacecraft actually taking off based on the trajectory, etc. of launch. So yeah, what a fortunate time we live in. And like I said, with the frequencies of these things. So I think that was launch 84 if it's successful, which it looks like it all is. But that's going to be successful launch 84 88 total, actually, because you take the 4 launches and then you add them onto the 83 plus it. And so, yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up at this point. But before we do, tell us what launches we have upcoming.
Well, we've got the Rocket Lab launch coming up here.
But that already got delayed.
That got delayed and pushed back. That's going to be in New Zealand.
Yep.
That's typically where they launch out of. I think that's where they always launch out of, to be honest. But and that's coming up later on Wednesday evening. It's rescheduled now for then. It seems like they have some weather problems here and there, but it's got pushed back. It was supposed to be tonight, but now it's pushed back to Wednesday evening. So we'll be covering that one possibly as well. It just depends on the time and scheduling, etc.
So one more plug is Project Geospatial is covering and supporting Geography 2050 this year.
I almost forgot.
That starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can tune in at geography2050.org. You can check it out on their Facebook page, American Geographical Society, or American Geographical Society's LinkedIn as well.
Too, yeah.
To an extent, we're going to be rebroadcasting and pushing it out on Project Geospatial.
And please watch some of the videos, because Adam has spent a tremendous amount of time working on these videos, and it's in the video editing, the cuts, etc.
We everyone as a whole, American Geographical Society, but me as well, has put a lot of time and effort into helping making this work. So check it out. There's a lot of interesting sessions, and the theme for this year is the future of the world's oceans. So
and they're going to
really interesting
and a session with Vice Admiral Sharp. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, there's a session with him, but there's also a session called the Admirals Panel, where you have admirals from multiple organizations that are on to talk about ocean, the status and their perspective of the oceans. But there's also new discoveries made in the oceans, keeping it clean, safety, what the status and health of it is.
Sure.
What's actually going on with illegal fishing, and new types of sensors to monitor and study the ocean. So stay tuned next week. A lot coming with Project Geospatial and the American Geographical Society.
Starting tomorrow morning.
Geography2050.org, folks.
Yeah, and what time does that kick off tomorrow morning?
Once again, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. Do you got anything else to add, Adam?
I do not. Once again, this is another episode of Project Geospatial, launch party, our second one ever. I'm Adam Simmons.
And I'm Mason Rothman.
We'll talk to you next time.
And there's the engines burning, baby. And the rocket's red glare.
You're alive.
So yeah, we have the live feed now from the spacecraft. This is really cool. I'm glad we came back on.
We're back because we found a different feed. It's live, and I saw that
this is the high
landing.
This is the high quality video feed that they were complaining that the Indians didn't have in their launch, actually, and it really was highlighted during the separation of the spacecraft. Then
Take it away.
yeah, so here we go, and I'm just catching up on tweets now, to be honest with you. So I'll try to add as much commentary as I can. But down there we have the velocity and the altitude down the bottom left. And, there we have at Kennedy Space Center, we have the ground control team down there. Interesting, most of them are running dual monitors as well, kind of all a similar setup. Everybody's masked up. That's good. Safety first, folks. And here's another view from the spacecraft here. You got to wonder what that real cost difference is in the high quality camera and the stream, etc.
I think the booster just landed. It just landed on the pad.
Oh, did it? Okay, the booster is landing on. There we go. There's the booster. Landing on the pad, and it's going to clear up right there. Hey, man, that is so cool. And here we got another reusable Elon Musk, SpaceX, I should say, rocket. This is great. How many times did you say they were reused? 40-something times now? This is phenomenal just to watch this evolution. I never thought about reusable rockets growing up. I just thought it was, I never thought about space junk or anything else back then either when I was younger. But now, yeah, we're in a whole nother world, so to speak. And there's a live view inside the spacecraft. Actually, that is phenomenal, and the video quality is muy bueno compared to that Indian launch that they had.
Yeah, just look how slick those suits are in even the spacecraft itself.
That's evolved as well. Who's the designer on those things? Is that like a Polo Ralph Lauren thing, or who designs those slick-looking suits? Who's got the contract on that? So yeah, they're going through, and it looks like, is that Victor up front?
Oh, if you can identify them all through the helmets, you're better eye than me.
Yeah, I believe that's Victor there that's front and center. Yeah, you're right about the space outfits, though, how much that's changed over time. Remember when they were the big puffy suits?
Oh, they still are for, I think, some of the astronauts, but these might be the new slick things for NASA.
Yeah, I believe we've seen them before, or on recent ones, but yeah, this is...
No, with the last big Dragon, the first Dragon launch, or the, not Dragon launch, the first launch up to
okay.
the space station.
But my point is that this is a huge difference from what, like I said, just 10 years ago, etc., where, you're wearing the puffier, and now we're getting more slimline, and this is all technology advancements, etc., so you can, support all your life-sustaining systems and safety protocols, etc.
All that social distancing, spacing, it's not as crowded as it used to be.
Wouldn't that be something if one of the, and I know they took all the precautions in the world. Can you imagine if they did end up taking a case of Corona to space? That would be something for the folks that really enjoy the dramatic National Enquirer type news, for sure. But so many safety precautions, et cetera, are in place that there's the chances of that happen are, like a 0.001%, I'm sure.
Looks like they're.
And then we have separation of the different phases of the rocket as well as it gets closer and closer. And look at that resolution. Like I said, this is up there compared to that ISRO launch. Wow. We need to get some stats on the camera sensors at some point. We need to see if they're working with NGA also on their camera sensors. That might not be a bad idea. Where NGA,
I think this is pure commercial, man.
I know, but if NGA could work with NASA on something like that for
pure commercial.
Yeah. Make government great again. Yep, we're going into outer space. So now, yeah, we're continuing on with the launch. I'm glad you found this feed. Where'd you find it off of? A Twitter post or?
This is NASA's.
Yeah, but where did you discover it?
Oh, The Verge had a number of them listed.
Okay, The Verge, excellent. Yeah, Verge is still a quality news source. I was reading some articles earlier on their website about the new iPhone launch, actually.
So before we were just having the camera on the pad.
Yeah, that was the feed that's been up all day so folks could watch it. Somewhat surprised they didn't change, but they want multiple cameras going at all times just in case for accountability of X, Y, and Z. Check out those screens as well. Touch screens. Wow. This is phenomenal. And I wonder what OS is behind those touchscreen. If it's some kind of something based on Linux, etc. I'm not sure. I'd love to read some stats on it though and learn. Or if somebody wants to school me, they can tweet me too. I always love learning. It's never a put down, etc.
Jason invites trolls to his Twitter.
Please do, yeah. School me, like I really do. Please. And never stop learning, folks. Please never stop learning. I don't know about the gloves. Even the boots kind of remind me of the trash collectors in Germany when they walk around with those extra high boots and if they had to wade through the mud and water, etc. But it obviously does the job. Oh, we got helmets up. I just saw them pull their visors up, actually. Launch America. Oh, look, and some more folks commentating. Hello, who are these three ladies here? We didn't get introduced to them prior. So that's the countdown clock behind them of when they're actually going to hit the International Space Station, I'm guessing? It's counting down from...
No, that's counting out.
From when they launched?
Yeah.
Hey, but has it been 15 minutes? 37, I thought they launched it.
I'm emotional.
Okay, yeah, Adam's grabbing some volume on it so we kind of know what's going on. We need closed captions.
It has been a long day, but just to be able to stand there and actually feel the rocket pounding the air around.
Oh, she's talking about being there live and the intensity. Oh, sweet, there's the closed captions. And now I'm even more jealous. Adam had to bring up that we haven't seen a live launch, and now she's talking about the experience. Oh, look, they have little separation barriers in between them for COVID. Just notice that. But you see those everywhere you go, in all the stores, etc., right?
Not with us.
So he's officially on his way.
Yeah, if you go into a grocery store or whatever, you see. Oh, not between us. That's right. Yeah, we didn't have one between. You know what? Maybe we'll upgrade and get us a. Wonder what the markup are on the plexiglass these days.
On air for continuous live coverage along their entire ride to station.
Right, in fact, I was a friend sent me a thing the other day on how much Honey Nut Cheerios are up these days. A box of Honey Nut Cheerios is $7.80, along those lines. $8 for a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. You must be hooked on that stuff to eat it.
For those of you watching online,
Inflation.
Take a look at the description below the video.
I'm not familiar with who these three ladies are, truth be told. I can tell one of them is an astronaut. But like I said, we just stumbled across this feed as well. But there's a SpaceX logo on her laptop. Looks like a custom MacBook cover there, to be honest with you.
9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, right here on NASA TV, where NASA and
Well, I wish we would have found this stream a little earlier so we could
and in addition
could have
to
found out
NASA
who
TV,
these ladies
follow
were
along
or
on
are.
Twitter at NASA and NASA.gov for continuous mission
Now I have a new
updates.
mission. Once we get offline, I'll have to go and find out who these folks are.
Nicole, special thanks to you
My
for being
pleasure,
here.
ladies. Let's do.
And there's your astronaut. All right, folks. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. That's a successful launch, landing, etc. And thank you for joining us. Have a good one.